Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Crystallize stream live on YouTube. Today, we'll be continuing our talk on SEO. We're here with Mr. Board, CEO of Crystallize. And we'll be, like I said, continuing the talk that many of you were also interested in. And for this live stream, we've also published a blog post that we'll actually go through as we continue the live stream. And of course, this is already in the description down below that you can also view and browse along with us. Yeah, Mr. Board, do you want to give like an introduction on maybe what we're going to go through today?
I think it's good. So I guess the title says it all. It's a SEO checklist for e-commerce. Of course, I mean, any web page will use the same methodology. And today will be a little bit theory, but mostly tooling and QA on how you basically assure that your website and specifically web shop is properly crafted for SEO. And as we usually say, this is about craftsmanship, because we are really trying to push the boundaries of what we call internet craftsmanship, which is basically our mission at Crystallize. And the SEO part for anything website, web shop is an essential craft that every front-end developer at least should know. But hopefully also more and more managers acquire these skills so that they can verify and also put it as top KPIs for a deliverable. Because if you really look at it, it's something that is quite often skipped because there wasn't enough time and it's not a visible thing. It's one of those things that is quick to not take.
So most people are like, when the visuals are ready, then we go, right?
It
Which
looks
is not something that will actually give you back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but maybe I can just start sharing my screen and showing some of the basics.
Do that.
So I'll share this guy. So what I will use as a background material for this live stream is the not the blog post, but it's a page under Learn on our best practice section, SEO Checklist, which we updated now for 2021 because during this year it's actually changed. There's been new tooling, new rules from Google and so on. And basically to start with, what we will use as an example is our furniture demo shop, basically, which is an implementation on top of Crystallize using Next.js and a Jamstack strategy. And basically, if we look at the introduction of this blog post, we have created a cheat sheet, which has basically the summary of what you need to go through in order to make sure that your web shop is in shipshape for SEO. And what I'll do is I'll just go through the basic parts first, in terms of, this is an obvious one, and there's so many websites I've seen that use a div or a span or something to define the biggest title on your web page. And what we're talking about here is, if I go into the product, it would be typically the title of the product. This needs to be an H1. Most people know this, but so many times I see it skipped, and that's not good for SEO. And also the meta information is something that you want to have in place with title and also the title meta tag and the description tag. Long time ago, it used to be that everybody also used the keyword tag, but this is something that is not used by Google anymore. So these are the main meta tags that you need to add. And also, very important, a canonical tag. What this means is that each web page representing, for example, a product should only have one URL, which is the main URL. For example, if you have a HTTP and HTTPS, you should define which is the main. If you have a www dot and without on your web page, because if you have all of those combinations, you suddenly have 4 URLs that are pointing to the same content. And you might even have virtual URLs inside your web shop, for example, to point to the same product. So make sure you have the canonical tag. It's really important. You do get a penalty if you don't have it. And this part in terms of images is make sure that you name the file name of your image something useful. It should ideally be the top keywords that you use. And you should also have that repeated in the alt text, which also should describe what you're showing. Here's an example, and I'll show it live also, because this is giving a benefit for both image search results, and you can also get, if you're number 1 or number 0 in the Google search results, you get the featured snippet, and there they actually use this information to promote your content. So this is kind of the bonus you get if you're really hitting a term with ranking number 0 or number 1.
And this is what we talked about in the previous live stream, right? And this is the benefits of also having something like a structure that you follow. Like when you're talking about products, you build a structured product page. And of course, step 1 would be, like you mentioned, keep the HTML proper, follow the canonical URLs, and put your proper H1 and not like style divs or whatever, something else that you may or may not be using.
So all of the things we mentioned now, this is just proper HTML, just use what the standard was meant to do. But it's of course quick to forget some of these things. So with any engineering, you need to have QA. And there's several tools to help you do QA. Some of the most popular is Moz, SEMrush, and Ahrefs. How do you say that? Ahrefs. Yeah, it's a interesting name. So I decided on Moz because I can pronounce it. And basically, they have a tool called One Page Grader. And here I've added the URL of this Big Bowl launcher, which is just a chair that does not exist. It's designed by our friends at Snowball. And what you do is take the term that you want to evaluate the key or the page for. So the top keywords that you are interested in. And here you get basically a verification of what we talked about. So you have the page title, you get the meta description, you have the URL, and it will tell you where and how many times it found the keyword. So here we have the keyword in title, in the body, in the meta description, in the URL, and also in the alt text of an image. So this gives us, according to Moz, page score of 100. And this is in terms of SEO best practice for this particular search term on this particular page. And that means that, okay, our semantic HTML, or how we tagged up this with the basics, is okay. But of course, there's also more to the properly getting SEO on your web shop. This is one of my favorite topics. So often you see a website or web shop that has links that say read more, non-descriptive. Maybe the URLs are not proper either, but typically you have this magic here. So you have the descriptive text of an anchor tag. This should be the keyword of the web page that you're linking to. In this case, it's like SEO Checklist, and it's linking to a page called SEO Checklist, which is what the page we're looking at right now is doing. So just make sure that you don't do read more. And if you click on the blog post that is linked up here, I also wrote a little bit about how to use links. And it's such a basic command. I mean, it's the definition of the internet, right? The World Wide Web, it's hyperlinked documents. So use them properly. Mobile friendliness. This is something that you always should verify. And there are tools for this. The tool I'm going to show is basically the mobile friendly test from Google. And it's not rocket science. You just enter the URL and push test URL. And it basically checks according to Google. And that's also a good thing if you use this tool. This is what Google is using internally to verify that, yes, this is mobile friendly. So you get the green thumbs up and this looks good. Google is now typically doing mobile first when they're indexing. And you see this both from page, the page speed insights when you're doing performance, and also the search console. You see that it's a mobile that is displayed first, and that's the priority, and typically what they're indexing your website from. So this is really, really important part. And this point, for those that have followed us before, we have kind of talked about this a lot. Site speed. So this is, in terms of user experience, of course, super important. We know that web shops that are fast convert more. People are clicking more pages and are more likely to buy more. Stats from Amazon and others are showing that. And also, in May of this year, Google introduced the Core Web Vitals, which made it significantly harder to rank well in terms of site speed. We actually did earlier this year a small research project where we basically made 3 different web pages, just picking a random topic: Monstera, Obliqa, identification and care. And we score them in terms of MOS 100. So it's equally optimized in terms of semantics and how you tag it up. And then what we did was created one that Monstera Obliqa green scored 100 in page speed, one yellow 50, and one red 22. These are all new, fresh domains, so no domain authority, no backlinks or anything. And then after 8 weeks, the green one basically ranked number 1 in Google with the feature snippet in Norway, in US, and in UK, while the red and yellow were not on the first 50 or first 5 search result pages, actually. And what this means, if we look here at Monstera identification and care, I'm just searching in Google. I'm using incognito mode here. And of course, the results vary from regions, but we used MOS to verify that for the US and UK, we are still number 1 now after some months. And here you see that we have a feature snippet for this, and it's the green page that is ranking number 1. So based on this, we know that performance dramatically affects your ranking, which is also what Google is assessing in terms of what they're doing with Core Web Vitals. But we had to do some quantitative tests on this. There are several tools to measure this. The main one, or most of them, are all based on Lighthouse. There's the Page Speed Insights from Google, which is checking from one location. There's also the WebDev Measure, which gives you a little bit more information about the best practices and so on. My favorite is the Lighthouse Metrics, which basically allows you to, and here I already executed it. So you just enter a URL. Here I did crystallize.com, and it will check your Lighthouse metric scores, basically the Core Web Vital score, from 6 different locations. So here we have US East, we have Asia Pacific South, and so on. So you're checking actually the performance from different locations around the globe. It also gives you information if you're not scoring that well, how to improve and that sort of thing. But mainly you want to verify that you're fast, and that you're fast in a global sense, because wherever Google is tracking your performance, that's the performance that ultimately gives your page speed score. So this is really, really important. Just make sure that you're 90 plus. That's kind of the magic number, which is for some pages, of course, really, really hard to do, but that's in the craftsmanship, right? For the structured data part, which Stavros mentioned. So we did a live stream a couple of weeks ago on this topic, which is basically how you can add microformats or information about what type of content you have on the page. And notice that if I look again on the one-page grader from Moz, this doesn't care about that. It doesn't check for microformats. So you typically need to use other tools for this. And again, Google has released also this year a new tool to verify the rich results. And here I have the rich results test from Google. And I'm testing now the Big Ball Launcher URL. And basically, what it does is to check for microformats. So there's several formats that you can use there. Check our previous video for details on that, but it's schema.org, where you have the definition of the microformats. And here we have, yes, it's rich results that are found on this page. And there's 3 products. And this is interesting because now we have the semantics of what is actually displayed on this page. And it's 3 specific products. We have some warnings here, and that's the optional fields that you can add, like brand or reviews or aggregated rating and so on. But basically, it's tagging up the structure of your product. And this, if you're doing e-commerce, is really important. So you can add multiple offers, you can add the currency, the price, and so on. And if we check then on, again, Google search result. So here I've searched using mobile in the Christmas version of Google, Big Ball Launcher. And of course, this is just an example from our demo site, but we're still ranking number 1. And you see here that you get a good formatting with also the images. What's also interesting is that if you look at the image search, you see that this chair is quite well represented. And this is by caring about the details of performance, but also, more importantly, how we name the image files, which is typically something everybody just overlooks, and also the alt tags on the images. And it's not rocket science, it's just housekeeping, I would say. Just make sure you do it. And those are kind of the main testing tools that you need to go through once you've tagged up your semantics. But there's one last, which is for social sharing. So it's maybe not that important for SEO, except that it also verifies your meta information. But it's more for when you are sharing. Where is it? When you're sharing your links to the products in social media. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or Slack is what they are giving you a preview with here, metatags.io. There's several tools that show this, but if I just verify here with our launch chair, what's going on? Refresh this tool, the tags.
Is it by preview maybe? Like on your right or not?
It's giving me the results of metatags.io. So, of course, we have not built this tool, so I take no responsibility.
Okay.
Worked earlier today. Anyhow, if you enter here the URL, it's my typing. So what I'll do is I'll actually clean up my typing. Add 2 URLs, boom, like that. So make sure that you only have 1 URL. That's the biggest issue with this tool.
Yeah.
No, but it gives you this metadata preview. So the name or the title, the description, and also the meta image. This is also what you get verified in Moz. But in addition, you see the OG share previews from how it will look on Facebook, how it will look on Twitter, and you can also then turn on other social media. Mm-hmm. So it's SEO, but it's more housekeeping for making sure that your URLs are pretty when you share it in social media.
Yep. So one thing that, maybe it's not done so often, but maybe for pages or for let's say companies that are changing their website and they're, you know, maybe they're optimizing in different keywords and maybe they want to change some stuff essentially. So they're changing the URLs. What should they be doing perhaps for their previous and already created pages that they have, you know, been in the market sometimes, so they have been
you should ask Stavros.
Yeah.
So we used to have, so we released a new update to our product marketing basically. So we used to have a URL called /product. And if I enter that on our webpage, it now gets redirected to /eCommerce. And then you get a new page. So we basically changed the URL structure of the main landing page for our product and all sub pages. And basically, it's a very simple thing. If I get back to my checklist here, it's basically what you call 301, or lately, actually, it's a recommendation of 308, which is different ways of using redirects. I typically use 301 because that's what we used to do. It's basically moved permanently. And there's also a 308, which is, according to MDN weblogs, it's recommended for, especially for post methods. So where 301 is recommended for get. So for normal redirects, I typically use 301, but I'm sure Google picks up both and you'll be fine. But it's basically to allow for, if you're changing a domain, if you're changing a URL, you want to make sure that you're both redirecting a visitor that comes from an external link, but also most importantly, you tell Google that this URL has changed. Please update your index and please keep my SEO juice so that I don't get a penalty.
Yeah, that's the important part, right? So rather than starting fresh, I mean.
True that. Last part, make sure that you use HTTPS. There will be an update of the core Web Vitals next May, I believe the date was, where Google will make even more rules on the core Web Vitals, or more, what do you say, KPIs, and HTTPS is one of them. Mobile friendliness is another. We know that mobile friendliness is already kind of part of the ranking, but they will make it part of the core Web Vitals metrics. So keep an eye on that. And this is a simple thing to do. Just make sure that it's in place, basically. And that should be part of your checklist.
Yeah. And it's also, now that I just saw that on the paragraph you were there, is that actually HTTPS, I remember we did do a test on that. It's actually faster than using HTTP, right? So it's
yeah. So basically, it's because HTTPS you can do processes in parallel, whereas HTTP is not. So it's but anyhow, it's just what you need to use. It's encrypted and more secure and all of the good things there. So this is again, it's a checklist. It's a best practice, but it's mostly just the tools that you can use to verify all of the aspects of your HTML, of the performance, of the mobile friendliness, and also if you're using products, you should make sure that you are tagging them up with microformats. So this is being picked up by Google, and you can get the pricing and the stock directly in the search results. And also if you have ranking or guest review on your products, they will also show up in the search results. So just make sure that you do that, then you should be fine. You will get organic traffic.
That's really nice. So it's a really, really, really useful cheat sheet, let's say, or that you've put together. I think that's pretty much it, right, for today?
Yeah. And again, you see, once you're ranking, like we have measuring core Web Vitals as one of our pages, where we're actually ranking right now above Google. So that's an interesting thing. But it can really help you to drive traffic. Like we are in the e-commerce space, and of course, we would like every Shopify customer to understand that they should be looking at headless and tailor-made e-commerce. So we have made a Shopify migration script. And what you also see here is, of course, you have advertisements. So I just searched twice, and then you see that we're ranking, above the others in Google for that. So this is how we can use by just following the checklist, you will rank well in Google. Of course, what we have not talked about today is backlinks and domain authority and the other aspects that are, I would say, not so much up to the craftsmanship of how you build your front end or the HTML and the actual web page. It's more about the marketing and how you get more backlinks and get the link text on the backlink to be correct, and that builds authority and all of these things. But that's a different topic. So make sure that you follow the SEO checklist. That's basically the message for today. And it's open, available, and easy to follow.
Mm-hmm. Right. Really nice. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Mr. Board, for the presentation. Really useful stuff. And yeah, have a great evening, everyone. And we'll see you hopefully